Good morning, students. Good morning, all of you. I hope you all have given your unit second exam very well, and you all are protecting yourself from COVID-19 as well as your near and dear ones by following these appropriate behavior. So, before starting our chapter, that is friction, I would like you to go through with this appropriate behavior very strictly in your life. Wear mask properly, follow physical distancing, maintain hand hygiene, stay at least 6 feet from others, and wash your hands frequently, always with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. And remember to not touch your face and do not share your food or drinks with others. So the topics to be covered in this lesson are introduction, what is friction, factors affecting friction, and friction is a necessary evil increasing in our reducing friction, and the fluid friction. So the first question that will come to your mind is what is friction, because this entire lesson is all about friction. Now, in our previous lesson, while we were talking about different types of forces, I mentioned about the contact and non-contact force. That is where I discuss about frictional force or the force of friction as an example of contact force. So what is friction? In simple word, it is a force that opposes motion. So it always try to stop motion. It always oppose the direction of motion. And what is the motion? Motion is nothing but movement. So whenever an object is moving, there is always a force who wants that the object should not move. So that is known as friction. So it is known as an enemy of the motion. Okay, you take any example where for example, you take a toy car or a real car as such. So whenever you try to move the car, the real car, you will start the car and you will make it to move. And if you consider it as a toy car, so you apply some force so that the car is able to move. But at every time there is another force which is acting on that car and which wants that the car should stop. And that is why if you observe closely, you will see that let's suppose you are supplying some force to that car. So the car move only up to the certain distance or for a certain period of time, and then it stops. Now this time who stopped the car? It stopped on its own. It is stopped because a force is acting on that car opposite to the direction of motion. So if you look at that car is moving in this direction. Now, until and unless the force applied, the state will not change. And the object will remain at rest. The object which is moving will keep on moving forever. But that is not happening in the case of this car. So after traveling a certain distance, the car stops, because there is a force which acts on this car's opposite to the direction of motion. So if this is the direction of motion, so this is the direction of friction. So there is a force of friction which is acting on this direction. So whenever there is a force of friction is dominating or a big enough, it stops the car. It stops the motion. So for any moving object, there is always a force which is trying to oppose the motion. You think of the swing, which you will see in your area. You would often see this kind of swing. So let us suppose your sister is sitting on this swing and you are just pushing her from behind. So you will give her a little push from behind, and what happens? She swings for some time, but after some time the swinging stops. That is because there is a force which is trying to oppose the motion of swinging, which doesn't want the movement to happen, which doesn't want to swing, and that is why after some time it finally stops. You think of somebody who is on the boat. So if you are traveling on a boat, so the boat, it moves with water. Now do you think that if there is no sailor on the boat and nobody is rowing the boat, will the boat move? The boat will not move, because there is a frictional force which is exerted by water, and which doesn't allow the boat to move. So it doesn't let the boat move. So in order to make the boat move, an external force will need to be applied, which should be able to overcome the force of friction. Okay. Now I'm going to talk about more and more about this friction. What are the various types of friction? How big or small is the magnitude of this force of friction? So we will talk about a lot of details about friction. So first of all, by now we all know that what is contact force and what is non-contact force. Contact force is one where the two objects are in contact with each other. Like whenever we talk about the force, it is something like which one object is exerting a force on another object. Okay, if the two objects are in contact with each other, they are called contact force, and the friction is a type of contact force. So how friction is a contact force? Now this force of friction exists, or it arises only due to the contact between the surfaces. Until and unless the two surfaces are not in contact, there will be no frictional force. So I will give you an example. Let us suppose there is a ball lying on a table, and I want you to make a ball move. Then you will apply some force on that ball, and the ball start moving. Okay, it start moving. So when ball is moving, so where is the force of friction acting? When ball starts moving, there is a force of friction. So ball is moving in this direction. So this is the direction of motion of the ball. And where is the force of friction? The force of friction is acting in this direction. And where is this frictional force acting? It actually acts between the surface of the ball and between the ball and the surface, the floor over which the ball is rolling. So here you see that ball in contact with the surface. So because of this contact arises the force of friction had the ball. If there is no contact between the surface and the ball, then there will be no friction. So you might say that what happen if the ball say what if I throw the ball in the air? So it still experiences the force of friction? Yes, of course, because when you throw it in the air, the ball is now in contact with the air, and air also exert force of friction. So it will experience friction due to the air. Now in order to experience friction, the two surfaces is needed to be in contact with each other, and therefore friction is a contact force. Just try out the other example. Take your palm and try to rub your palm. Try to rub both of your hands. Palm, okay. Just try. Take out your palms and try to rub it together. Try to rub both of your hands together. What do you see? Try to do it for some time, maybe a few seconds, or make it possible to a minute or so. You would tend to feel that your hands become warm. And why do they become warm? Because when they rub against each other, again a frictional force is acting there. The two palms are in contact, so the force of friction comes and it produces heat, and due to the production of heat you could feel the warmth when you rub your hands against each other. Okay. So when we walk, do you think that friction plays a role when we walk? Yes, of course. When we walk, again a motion is involved. And when there is a motion, there is a force of friction which is acting to oppose our motion. Still we are able to walk because we are able to overcome the force of friction. Now just imagine a situation. So friction is like a villain. Because we want to walk, we want to move, and it is always trying to oppose our movement. But in reality, the friction is not really a villain. Just think of a situation where you want to walk and there is no friction at all. So the friction is zero. Let us assume that. Let's imagine the no friction. So in that case, what happens? that means that the surface is too smooth, and if the surface is smooth, we tend to slip. So when by mistake you step on the banana peel, you tend to fall because it is very slippery, so the friction is very less. So there is no force which is trying to oppose your motion, and there is nothing to oppose you, and it is like an extremely smooth surface. And as soon as you step over that surface, you tend to fall down. So that way, friction is actually helping us by opposing our motion to some extent. It helps us to walk. But again, if friction is too much, it is completely try to oppose our motion, then it also might not get work. Let us walk. Okay. So what happens is in reality that there is a friction to some extent, and we apply a force from our end, and force overcome the friction, and then we are able to walk comfortably. So that is about friction. Now, as I said that friction always opposes applied force. So that means when I say that friction oppose motion, that means if you talk about motion, if you talk about any object, the direction of motion is like in this case, the direction of motion is this. And if you applied force, we are applying a push in this direction. So this is the direction of applied force or a motion. And where is friction? Friction is acting in this direction. So this is the direction of friction. So friction is always opposite to the applied force. That is one thing. And friction act parallel to the contact surface. So if you see here, this is the surface. So let us assume that the ball is rolling on a table, and this is a table. So this is the contact surface, and friction will always act in the direction parallel to the contact surface. So friction will be parallel to that surface. So let me give you a few more examples. Let us suppose that instead of horizontal surface, you have a slant surface like this. Like you have a slope like this, and you have an object here, and this object is sliding. So it is falling down. So object is moving in that direction. What will be the direction of force of friction? So friction will be in the opposite direction of motion. That means this would be the direction of friction. Why this is the direction? Because one can friction is always opposite, and it has to be parallel to the contact surface. So this is the contact surface. So when this is the contact surface, so this is your direction of the friction. So this would be the direction of friction. Similarly, if you are considering a vertical surface like this, let us suppose it's some wall or something, and you have an object which is sliding down here. Let us assume that it's not a free fall. If the object isn't moving in this direction, so the force of friction will be in this direction, and the force of friction will be the parallel to the contact of surface. So this is how you can determine the direction of force as well as the direction of frictional force. So these are the 2 points which you have to remember, that it will always in the direction of it always opposes the applied force, and it will always be the parallel to the contact force. These are the 2 points which you have to remember for friction. So friction play a very important role in our day-to-day life. When we look at the definition of friction, it is always talk about the opposing motion. So people get impression that the friction is something which always try to oppose the motion or stops the movement. So friction is not a nice thing. But when you actually look at the friction, it is extremely necessary as well. Okay. So we will talk about the pros and cons of friction. Before that, let us talk about the factors which affect the friction, on which the frictional force depends. So now primarily there are 2 important factors which affect the friction. One is smoothness of the surface. So basically how smooth or rough the surface is, that decide how much the friction will be. And if you are considering the perfectly smooth surface, which is perfectly smooth and there is no roughness, so that surface will not have any friction. So if you are if at all you are talking about a perfectly smooth surface, so for perfectly smooth surface, the frictional forces be equal to 0. However, this is also true that perfectly smooth surface doesn't exist in reality. So it's just a hypothetical statement that in reality, because in reality there is no surface which is perfectly smooth. Even the most smooth looking surface also have some irregularity on its surface. So there is nothing called perfectly smooth surface which exists in reality. So the first factor is how smooth or how rough the surface is, and based on that the frictional will change. So if the surface is smooth, the friction will be less, and if it is rough, the force of friction will be more. Now, as I mentioned, the friction comes when there is two surfaces are in contact with each other. So when I say contact, there is a chance that the two surfaces that they are just touching each other. There is a probability that they are in a good way, they are touching each other. Like let us take an example. Let us suppose that this is one surface and this is another surface. Okay, sorry, this is the, so this is a table and this is an object. So let us consider a same table you have, and you have an object like this. Okay, so this is another object. Now again, on the same table you have, let us, a bigger and a heavier object like this. This is comparatively smaller and this is comparatively very small. Now in all these three cases, just try to look the surface of contact, where they are contact with each other. Here you see the two surfaces are in contact, but they are not held very tightly. But since they are in contact, the friction come into the picture. If you consider this case, here if you see that compared to the first scenario, in second scenario the surface is more tightly held. They are more in contact with each other. Okay, now you consider that in third scenario, here you see since the box is heavier and bigger, it is like the box become heavier, or if you are pushing the box from above, you are applying a force, that means you are trying to basically press the box hard, so that they are very tightly held to each other, this table and this box. So more tightly the surface held together, the more force would be, the more will be the force of friction. So in this three scenario, 1, 2 and 3, the force will be maximum in 3 and would be minimum in 1. So it is not only this roughness and smoothness of the surface which will decide how much the frictional force would be. It is also the factor that how tightly the surfaces are held together, that also very important factor to decide how much friction it would exert. Okay, so let us discuss the first factor in little more detail, how smoothness and roughness of a surface affect friction. Now you will see that the friction is lesser in a smoother surface than a rough one. So it is always less on a smooth surface. So if you don't believe, let us look at some example. Just try to stretch your legs. Try it right now when you are doing some exercise, or you will find that on a rough floor it is difficult for you to stretch. But if the floor is smooth enough, you can smoothen the floor by applying some oil or water or a powder on the floor. The floor turns slippery, and then when you try to stretching that, you will feel that it will be easier for you. That's because your legs tend to slip over the floor, because the floor has turned slippery. Therefore the floor offer less friction, so the position is less, and therefore you able to move your leg very easily, okay, as compared to the rough surface. So this tells you that the smoother surface exert less friction. Let us look at another example also. Let's just you drive a not you, your uncle, your father. When your father drive on a rough floor or on a smooth floor, what happens? So driving your car on a smooth road versus on a rough floor. So smooth road with lesser bumps and rough floor with a lots of bumps, lots of uneven stones and rocks here and there. So these two types of roads, what do you see? More forces needed to be applied in to make the car move on a rough surface, because here you have a lot of bumps, ups and downs. You need to apply more force to drive your car, because your car finds it difficult to move in on a rough floor. It's because the friction is more here. So the friction is more, the opposition to the motion will be more. Friction always opposes the motion. So the movement of the car become difficult, but still if you want to make the car move on a rough surface, you need to apply more force. Now on contrary, if you consider the smooth surface, here you see the car moves utterly perfect. It moves in a higher speed as well. So you just need not to apply a lot of force to make your car move. That's because here the friction is less. So the applied force which is required is also less, because the opposition is less, the movement is just happen on its own. So you do not really need to apply some extra force to make your car move. So these are the examples, shows that, so if the surface is smooth, the friction is less. If the surface is rough, the friction is more. So I hope this is enough for you for today only, and we'll discuss about the factor that affect friction, some more factors which affect the friction in our next video. Thank you, students.